Do the things others don't want to do. Do what's necessary. Do what it takes, no matter what it is, and try not to hurt anybody along the way.
Each person invented himself for whatever reasons, through whatever circumstance, through whatever he has gone through, that we are each a figment of our own imagination.
To create a business, you've got to initially work day and night, weekends. It's really hard work.
I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I cared. That's what I cared about. I cared about solving problems, being successful. Anytime an obstacle presented itself, I used it to my advantage and made it work. And I never heard the word no. If I heard the word no, it meant maybe. Then I made maybe yes.
Don't allow anyone, friend, family, acquaintance, teachers, whoever it is, don't allow anyone to tell you that what you are dreaming for yourself and your family is not possible. It is possible. Don't be one of those people 20 years from now are going to be walking around in a 9-to-5 job, miserable and angry and bitter.
In the end, luck plays a very important part in how successful you are, but the harder you work and the longer you work, the luckier you're going to be.
People need to understand that we cannot take a breath, that we have competitors who want to take the food off of our table. The mentality that you need in a business today, Starbucks or otherwise, to build sustainable success and enduring success is you have to eradicate the human behavior of relaxing, the human behavior of feeling like we have won.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up.
To punish failure is yet another way to encourage mediocrity, because mediocrity is what fearful people will always settle for.
I'm going to put the vast majority of my energy, attention, and dollars into building a great product or service, and put a smaller amount into shouting about it, marketing it. Because I know if I build a great product or service, my customers will tell each other. You have to mix in some patience with that.
You know, when you get famous or when you get big and you start earning a lot of money and you start doing things that are important, people around you start feeling less significant, and what'll happen is they'll start to pull you down. Right? I call these red lighters. So people who are red lighters are people that stop you from doing things, and we want to not stay away from red lighters, but just be cautious of who we hang around.
There's always going to have to be an element of luck, but I think more important is putting yourself in a business that can be ubiquitous, that really doesn't have limits.
You've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people.
Develop the habits. You've got the brain power, you've got the energy, but develop the habits of success.
The first thing is you've got to be able to take rejection. That's the first thing. Second is you have to hang around the right people.
I grew up under a premise. Go in an industry that has a large profit margin. Don't go in one that's slim. Go in one that's large. Take what you've got. Your assets are your energy. Your assets are your willingness to just not be told no. The harder it is, the tougher it is, the bigger the challenge to get in, the bigger the opportunity behind.
And what happens most of the time, people change. People change around you because they start treating you different because of your success.
Stay focused on the stuff that you're providing to your users. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. It doesn't matter. You don't get judged by the mistakes. People don't remember those years from now. They remember the things that you did that were good.
Most people think success is from here and they go all the way up, right? And they think it's a straight line. But what happens is you kind of go and you go like this, and then you get that success.
What fear is stopping you in your tracks and burning the soles of your feet? What if conquering that fear, whatever it is, that keeps you from being what the Creator intended for you? What if you could unleash everything great in your life?
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. You know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet.
Jumping is scary. When you first jump, your parachute is not going to open right away. I would love to tell you that it would, that when you quit your job, you'll just have a shop full of clients. It ain't gonna happen. The chute don't ever open right away. You gonna get some skin tore off you on them rocks.
There's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. If you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion, and I think that's the high order bit. The second thing is, you've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people, and you've got to figure out how to size people up fairly quickly, make decisions without knowing people too well, and hire them, and see how you do, and refine your intuition, and be able to help build an organization that can eventually just build itself, because you need great people around you.
What I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
If you don't ever jump, your parachute will never open. You will never soar. Now, you'll be safe. You'll sit there with that parachute on your back, all them skills you got and your skills you got, and you'll have it packed away, and you'll never get cut up on the rocks. Don't jump, and you'll never get cut up. But if you do not jump, you will never soar.
If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
There must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. That itch that you have to be whatever it is you want to be, in front of the camera, on the stage, behind the stage, that itch, that desire for good is God's proof to you, sent already to indicate that it's yours. You already have it. Claim it. Understand this. You have these dreams, and as Kenny said, dreams without goals remain dreams, just dreams, and ultimately fuel disappointment. Dreams without goals, yearly goals, life goals, daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals, minute by minute goals. Dreams without goals are just dreams. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. Between goals and achievement are discipline and consistency. Thank God for grace and mercy and understanding. We all fall short of the glory. We all got plenty. If you just start thinking of all the things you got to say thank you for, that's a day. And we all have that unique gift to go out and touch people, to affect people. Understand that gift, protect that gift, appreciate that gift, utilize that gift, don't abuse that gift, treasure it. You have it, you already have it. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Now, I've been blessed to make hundreds of millions of dollars in my life. So it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And we all have different gifts, but we all have it. Use it, share it. That's what counts.
You are responsible for your life. And if you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you, to fix you, to even help you, you are wasting your time, because only you have the power to take responsibility to move your life forward.
I, at a very rough time in my life, sat down and became very specific about writing down, what am I good at? What do I know how to do? And one of the things on my list was sales, and I'd been selling fax machines door to door. And then I said, you know, I wrote down the words, I want to come up with an idea I can send to millions of people, sell to millions of people. So I was very specific. So I would tell these people, what do you want? Take the time to sit with yourself and be specific and ask for it.
I knew that I wanted to change my life. I knew that I didn't want to go down the path that I was going down because I got scared, and fear is a great motivator.
You want to know what I have learned about myself and what I have learned about every great salesman or entrepreneur I've ever worked with? If you can get in the habit of going through the door without the answer, in our education system, tends to make you want to have the answer. If you walk through that door, people are amazingly smart. Once you're in there in hot water, you discover the answer.
I just didn't spend money on myself. I just dumped all the profit back in the business, and we were buying vintage stuff, you know, for years that it costs $5, $10, $15, $50, and you're selling it for, you know, $100, $200, $1,000. I mean, I've bought things for $8 that I've sold for $1,000, and that's really good cash flow, right? I didn't know what that word even meant, you know, but it was just like, it looked really good, just like building in the bank.
I have found walking through every door, believing that I'm going to go through the door or jump out the window, I'm going to learn how to fly on the way down. And you want to know, I have always had my best successes. And so I wholeheartedly believe in the belief that all of us have the right to be there. Ask for what we want. We all can be rich. We could all put our dagger in the sand, or whatever that thing is called, and say, that's me, I'm going for it, what the heck. And I don't think it's a reserved right for anybody. And that attitude has been more responsible for building my business and my career than any other thing.
What inspired me to go into fashion when I was leaving the banking industry was the fact that I knew that I had creative talents. I knew that I wanted to set up my own business because I was no longer enjoying working where I was working because I didn't go to university, and I noticed that those who had university degrees that were being brought in were being brought in above me, despite the fact that I had moved into the banking proper sector of the bank. So I decided that was the time to move on. I resigned, although the managing director at the time refused to accept my resignation for 3 days. And I told him I was going to come back with the same letter after 3 days. So he was forced to let me go.
I started working out of my apartment with a team of 2
who helped me turn my concept into a reality around my kitchen table for 2 years. Like most startups, we had to fundraise. I asked a lot of people I knew to invest, including some people who didn't have a tremendous amount of money. So I told them, only invest if you're prepared to lose it. I was so scared. In the end, over 100 people invested. With that money and a personal investment, we set up an office in Hong Kong for sourcing and production.
I tell young people starting out, find something that you love. Find people that you want to work with. Find a company whose ethics and values you subscribe to. And what I always say to people, if you are not entirely comfortable with the people that you're working with and how they are behaving, run, do not walk for the exits.
When I grew up, my dad used to encourage my brother and me to fail. So I would come home from school and sit at the dinner table and my dad would say, "Kids, what did you fail at this week?" And if I didn't have something to tell him, he would be disappointed. So if we weren't failing enough in our home, it meant we weren't trying new things.
I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. I was set free because my greatest fear had been realized, and I was still alive, and I still had a daughter whom I adored, and I had an old typewriter and a big idea. And so rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all.
I think it's very important to talk to people. And if you're a new business and a young business or even an old business, nothing is better than picking up the phone and talking to people. You know, how many times do things get lost in translation when you're sending emails? And I think that it's very important to be confident in business, not arrogant. You know, confidence is being certain that you're good at what you do, you're brilliant at what you do, and you can deliver what people want.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company.
It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit.
If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right.
Because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion. The second thing is you've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people.
Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. No one wants to die.
And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well.
Death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. Death is very likely the single best invention of life.
If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
Right now, the new is you.
You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Period.
The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. I want my life, I want my work, my family, I want it to mean something. And it's like, it has, if you are not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time.
There's a certain delusional quality that all successful people have to have. You have to believe that something different than what has happened.
Confucius said, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. It takes such a desperate, obsessive focus. You really got to focus with all of your fiber and all of your heart and all of your creativity. First step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A.
You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day. And soon you have a wall. And soon you have a wall.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled.
I want to represent an idea. I want to represent possibilities. I want to represent the idea that you really can make.
Being realistic is the most commonly traveled road to mediocrity. Why would you be realistic? What's the point of being realistic?
There's a redemptive power that making a choice has, you know, rather than feeling like you're at effect to all the things that are happening. Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide.
And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. I want to do good. Yeah. I want the world to be better because I was here.
You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas. Unquestionably, you must have faith. It's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. Yes, right. And it's worth it.